Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we would like to introduce and bring to the stage Pam Seal and Jim Hoffpower. With Crossroads Live, they'll be doing a television interview with Janie PRICE. Ladies and gentlemen, please make welcome Pam Seal and Jim Hoffpower. They go over there. Where you want to go? I got some more stuff here that says peach. I gotta read this. I'll get in so much trouble if I don't read it. All right. Pam and Jim.
Yeah, that's me.
All right. I know y'all done a lot of interviews over the years. And I remember September 2006, you interviewed Ray Price here at the Gene Autry's 99th birthday party. Remember that right here at the South Fork Ranch? Wow. And it was fun. And Ray was dynamite. And I think we have a clip of that interview that you did at that time. Gilbert, you have that clip? Well, let's see it. And then we're going to bring up Miss Gene. All right.
I did good on this.
Jim, do you remember what you said and what he said? Well, that's right. That's right.
And did you know that this man right here saved Chuck Norris's life?
Saved his life.
Wow. Now, I was there. Well, the reason I'm telling you this is because what happened was I had a fight scene with Chuck, and I was beating him up.
Man, he was mad too.
And this guy pulled me off of it. Remember that?
No. But I know you wouldn't story about anything. Here we go. And so what else did we do?
Actually, he was the sheriff and I was in jail.
Well, and then tell about our television career.
Oh yeah, you were. You asked me if we interviewed anybody. I said we did interview you.
Yeah.
The ratings went way down. and nobody showed up at the Gene Autry Festival.
That's right, nobody. Now, no, Gene Autry wasn't
Gene Autry wasn't even there.
99th birthday.
But his horse was.
There you go.
We thought he was a champion too.
He was a champion. Yeah, there you go. Which one? He had 5.
You did?
Yeah. Oh, I love this, man. Well, I want to tell y'all before they find this thing, I have something I want to tell, and this is aimed at Miss Janie, who I met 2 weeks ago. Had a wonderful time with her. Well, hello there. Anyway, I knew I was in trouble this morning when I got here and I reached in my pocket and I found my notes from my interview with Alex Cord. And if any of you know who Alex Cord is, he's a wonderful actor, writer, and these 2 gentlemen back there who don't claim to know me, Ken and Buck, their publishing company published his last book. So, anyway, he's a wonderful writer.
When did you do the interview with him?
When was that? When was the last interview?
I think it was 2012.
No, it was a couple of weeks ago. No, we were in Gainesville.
May 10th.
May the 10th. And
I'll get you cue cards next time, Jim.
I make the cue cards?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm doing real good on this interview.
I'm sorry, the computer ain't now.
When you want us to go ahead and bring up Miss Janie, talk to Miss Janie, I know she's got better things to talk about. We
Sorry, the computer ain't.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, please make welcome Miss Janie Price.
I'm gonna pull on you what I did to Mrs. Alex Cord, Susanna. I want you to tell all these wonderful folks out here the love story. How did you meet her? Where did I meet you?
Which time?
Which time? Well, let's start with the first time.
But the first time Ray and I met, the first time that Ray and I met, the first time that Ray and I met. I'm sorry. Okay. I'm a little nervous, as you all can tell. And thank you for helping. The first time that I met Ray, I was working as a model in Dallas. And Ray had come to town to play golf with one of his friends. And I pulled up in front of his room to park my car to get out to go inside to do a show at the Conquistador Room at the Marriott Hotel on Stemmons Freeway. And I just parked my car there. Well, I started to step out, and then I looked through the window, and my goodness, there was this good-looking man sitting inside, and he was facing a mirror. He was facing the mirror against the wall, and I was seeing the back of his head but his face at the same time. And our eyes met in the mirror, and he had his hairdresser there getting his hair done. And so his hair, you remember the old pompadour hairstyles where they blew them dry? And he was having his hair, and he jumped up out of the chair, and he started doing his hair like this, and he ran outside, and he said, "Hi." And I said, "Hi."
That's a good way to start a conversation.
Well, we didn't talk. I mean, that was it. And so I went on in and did my show, and he went on and did his show, and we all day long I'm looking for this guy. All day long I'm thinking, oh God, where is he? Well, we never met that day. And so it was just a few months later, I got a call from the man. His name is Buck Fowler, and Buck was Ray's road manager. You'll remember him, Tom and Billy. And he and I had met, and his wife Neva and I had become pretty good friends over going to parties with all these movie stars. I was going to be a little actress, and he put an end to all of that. and so they called me, and Buck said, "Janie, I'm in town," and he said, "I have someone I'd like for you to meet." And he said, "I know you're wanting to be a singer, and you're playing guitar, and you're traveling around," and he said, "I have someone I think could help you in the business." And so I said, "Oh, okay." And so I met them, and he introduced me to Ray, and neither of us remembered that we had met. And so he invited me to go with him on a trip down to Wichita Falls. He was working that night at the auditorium there at the high school. And so I'm in the back seat with Buck, and Ray's in the front seat with the same hairstylist who was doing his hair. He was also his chauffeur, Cedric Fontenot. And we were about halfway down there, and Ray had his rearview mirror down, and he kept looking at me, and I kept looking at him, and I'm thinking, gosh, this guy looks familiar. And I think, where have I met him? Where have I been? And someplace about halfway down, Fontenot and Ray turned to each other, and they both at the same time, Fontenot said, "She's that girl, Chief, she's that girl!" And then we both remembered, he opens up his glove box, and he pulls out this envelope, and he has written on that envelope my description, everything about me, my make and model of my car, my license plate. He said, "You don't know how many times I have come back to Dallas and circled in the parking lot of this hotel." So that was the night I met Bill Mack. Bill Mack was the MC that night, and that was the night that I met Bill and Cindy, and we all became fast friends, and well, I rode home with him that night, and 45 years later,
beautiful love story.
We never separated. From that moment on, we were together from that moment on.
Stories I keep hearing about Ray. Well, I knew Ray not well, but I got to know him, have lunch with him a few times. And the stories I keep hearing about are his love for animals. I keep hearing it. Everybody talks about it. He loved animals. He couldn't see a dog on the side of the road without bringing him home.
You want to know all about the dog story?
Tell me.
Well, when I was asked by these wonderful people here to go out and help promote this record, I had never been out in front of the public before, many years. Ray moved me to the farm way back in the 80s, and I had not been out in the public. Look at this beautiful lady over here. I had not made any public appearances, and I was so nervous. And I stayed on the farm and took care of all of Ray Price's projects. Now, Tom, you and Billy know how many projects Ray Price had. And he loved animals. His love for animals was probably almost equal to his love for music. And at one time, Virgie, my sister Virgie's over on the front row, everybody. And I wouldn't have made it through all of this without Virgie. We at one time had a rescue farm that we had 125 dogs.
Wow.
Absolutely. Every place he would go, riding up and down these country roads, any little animal that he saw abandoned, he brought them home. And they were always injured, they were always hurt, and so we had our program that we put them through where we would take them to the veterinarian. They always had mange, they always had fleas, they always had just terrible looking little animals. And we completely restored these animals to life. And then Virgie, with the help of Virgie and a huge crew that we had working with us, we adopted these animals back out into the community. And so I'm real proud of it.
Hearing stories about her favorite flower. I hear he likes to raise roses, plant roses and raise roses. Is that right?
Absolutely. If you drive by the front entrance to our farm, you will see a beautiful display that he himself did plant. And he chose the roses, he planted them all, he pruned them all. We were not allowed to touch his flowers. Yes, he loved roses. His favorite, of course, was the yellow rose of Texas. Yes, it was.
Yeah. Well, you want to talk about this wonderful album?
Absolutely.
Last album that you
Absolutely.
recorded. What a beautiful piece of work. Gentlemen,
Right.
ladies,
Janie,
involved in this.
I wanted to say that with Beauty Is, hope I can talk about this.
Don't you start.
I know, I brought a box of Kleenex over here and get us two together. We bonded immediately. And of course, Ray Price, what an honor to be here today. The legend, the music legend, over 50 albums. I stopped counting at 338 singles that he did, and that's a lot of work, a lot of hours. All of the awards that he made. And you know, as much as we, the Ray Price fans, and everybody in here loves Ray Price and is somebody who's been close to him, as much as we would like to think this last album, that he said he had one more album in him to do, was for the fans. That last album was for you. Beauty Is. And so that's why we're here. And through all of the chemotherapy, through everything, the struggle of making this album we talked about, his focus was getting this album done as his love letter to this beautiful lady here, 45 years of marriage. That is a romance story you don't hear very often. And if you haven't gotten a copy of the album, you really need to get that with Ray Price Connection, Ray Price Music Connections.com. And tell us a little bit about when you first heard that this album was done for you and how that made you feel.
Well, of course, I didn't know that's what he had done. And we had just left his rehab, and we thought we were gonna get to go back and do chemo once again. And Fred Foster called Ray just as we were leaving the facility, and he said, he had just finished the master mix, and he said, "It's in the can, Ray, we've got it done." He said, "I think you're gonna like what we did." And he said, "Now, would you please let me speak to Janie?" And that was very unusual because Fred never, he never talked with me, he always talked with Ray. And so he said, "Janie, how does it feel to be the most loved woman in the world?" And I said, "What? I'm sorry, what, Fred?" And he said, "How does it feel to be the most loved woman in the world?" And I said, what do you, I was driving, and I said, "Oh, I've got to pull over." So I pulled up into the Walgreens parking lot, and I gave him my complete undivided attention. And I said, "What do you mean?" And he said, "Well, Ray told me that he dedicated this song and this entire album to you." And it just did it. It just did it.
And I know one of the other things we discussed that's so dear to your heart and was very dear to Ray Price was the keeping alive the traditional country music, its roots, and that you've got a new campaign that you're going to be launching called Boots on the Ground. And of course, he was military, loved our nation, loved God. Those World War II guys we were talking about, just a different breed of cat. And he didn't want the real, true, traditional country music that lost. And so as part of a tribute to him, tell us a little bit about Boots on the Ground and what your plans are with that.
Well, as you said, Ray was so afraid that we were going to lose the traditional country music that Tom has talked to you about and that Dallas is talking to you about. And as a matter of fact, I think we are in danger of losing that very music. And we all are going to have to come together and fight for this music. And again, these wonderful people sitting on this front row who have just dropped into my life by the grace of God. Steve Popovich, this wonderful young man, this has been a labor of love for him. Brittany told me how many hours and hours he has put into this project, and we need help. Ray said we cannot save country music by using this digital age. Now he said that can happen with the new country music, but he said we're going to lose our music if we don't get some boots on the ground and get out there and go tell the people that to support these artists. Stephen Pride, my God, is he fabulous? This wonderful violinist, this young man over here, Tony Ramsey. Texas has got a treasure trove of talent that has sadly been untouched and perhaps overlooked. And Tommy Ritter, she's doing what she can. We have all got to come together and we've got to fight for this traditional country music, and we're going to lose it if we don't. So we've come up with a campaign called Boots on the Ground, a revival of traditional country music. And our hope is that we'll be able to take this campaign across the country and go out and actually talk with all of the radio stations, and do interviews, and reach out to the grassroots people. Ray Price was a Marine, and you guys know you can't do anything without getting out and put your boots on and get dirty and get out there and go see people and talk to them and remind them of what it is we're losing. It's an era, it's a time, we're losing this wonderful treasure of these people have left us. And I need your help. I mean, Ray Price asked me to do this, and I swear I have no clue what I'm doing.
Good job. Good job. I'd like to say one thing. I have a friend of mine that's in the audience, who you all just heard a while ago, Mr. Stephen Pride, and he once told me not too long ago, if you remember this, Steve, he said, God told me I was just too country for country. Remember that? I want to say one thing to you, Mr. Pride. Keep doing what you're doing. That's what Ray said.
Well, Janie, I want to thank you for a great segue. We have a presentation here from Rick Cavender at Cavender Boots, and he used to pick up rocks there on the racetrack at Ray's place, and he wants to present these boots to you. And they are Lou Casey. What are they made out of, Gene? Unborn fish or something? What are they made out of? They're awfully soft. That's some boots for boots on the ground. And Janie, also at this time, Mike Cavender, who did I say? Mike Cavender is the one who gave those. I don't know who I said gave it, but it was Mike. Anyway, we have another presentation here from Lynn Howard, Conroe, Texas, to come up and make a special presentation to you, ma'am.
Miss Lynn Howard.
This is a surprise, right? I don't know
Yes.
what we're doing.
This is such an honor for me, and I want to read this the way that it was written. Janie, we have a very special presentation for you from photographer Dave Clements in our area, and also from Ray's friends and fans in Conroe, Texas. As you probably know, Charity Productions, which is Betty and Jean Wolf, presented many concerts of Ray's at the historical Crichton Theater there in Conroe. So let me tell you, and all those, by the way, were sold out if I remember correctly, which we really, enjoyed. Let me give you a little background about this particular presentation. When we lost George Jones, the possum, back in April 26th of 2013, the Rolling Stones magazine asked Merle Haggard to write an article about George Jones, and which he, of course, readily agreed to do. Now, Merle's final words in this particular article said, and I want to quote, "There's not many of us singers left. There was me, Ray Price, Willie, and George, and we lost a part of our quartet. We have for you a small token of our love and respect for your husband, and this is a matted copy of the article along with a photograph of George Jones right here. And what makes this presentation even more special is that this is a limited edition copy, whose original was signed by George, Merle, Willie, and Ray. And now that you have this copy, I will also share that the other copies reside with the hag, Willie, George's family, and now you. So those four. God bless you, Ray, and God bless you.
What can I say? I got it. You see what
All right. Thank you, ma'am. Very nice. Lynn, yes, ma'am?
I want to thank Mary Sarah, her mother Patricia, and her dad for being here.
Isn't that the truth?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Gene and Betty for having us here today with their production company, Sherry. Thank you very much, Gene.
You betcha. Thank you, Jim. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to close today with a personal message from Ray Price, which was written several weeks before his death. He says, "I love my fans and have devoted my life to reaching out to them. I appreciate their support all these years, and I hope I haven't let them down. I'm at peace, I love Jesus, and I'm going to be just fine. Don't worry about me. I'll see you again one day." Excuse me. Good. Anyway, we want to thank everyone for being here today and hope you all enjoyed Charity Productions tribute to Ray Price final album release reception. If anyone would like to purchase a copy of the final Ray Price album, beauty is you can buy one on your way out. And we'd like to announce that there's a large group of you that's going to be going to Love and War. We said that, so check in with the folks. If you are going, it's going to be fun. And ladies and gentlemen, Ray Price was a United States Marine. Today is Flag Day. And before we leave today, we would like to ask Mary Sarah to come up and sing our national anthem to honor the United States flag and commemorate the flag's adoption on this day in 1777. And please stand. And the flag is being, a flag salute's being made by Richard Hall, retired U.S. Marine, and Jackie Dean, Lady Marine Corps Auxiliary League.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
So, till we meet again, good luck, God bless, and we'll see you at the crossroads. Let's go then.